If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I have a strong connection with Alberta Sturges, my husband's great-grandmother, the Countess of Sandwich, in the first part of the 20th century, and a prolific writer and deep thinker. I've talked about her quite a bit on social media, and even wrote my master's dissertation about her and the vast collection of writing she left behind at Mapperton House. But I've not fully introduced her with an in-depth exploration of her history, and that's what I'm going to do today. To get to know Alberta, though, we first need to examine the world in which she existed. When we think of American heiresses of the Gilded Age, images of opulent parties, grand European estates, and lavish fashion often come to mind. Yet behind these glamorous images lie a complex world where young women were expected to uphold family fortunes, forge advantageous alliances, and secure their family's place in high society. One of those women was Alberta Sturges. Born in 1877 into a wealthy American family, she was raised amidst an era of extraordinary economic growth, societal expectations, and the ever-growing custom of American heiresses marrying into European nobility. But unlike many of her peers, Alberta's story wasn't solely about wealth, marriage, or social status. It was about a determined young woman's quest for meaning, independence, and personal fulfillment. Alberta was born in Chicago, Illinois, a city renowned for its industrial boom during the Gilded Age, a period that stretched from the late 19th to early 20th century and marked an era of enormous wealth creation in the United States. Families like the Sturgeses benefited from the rapid economic growth, building fortunes that placed them among America's wealthiest. For the children of these families, especially daughters, life came with expectations. They needed to refine themselves in European social circles, to make a grand marriage, and to bring honor and advancement to the family. Despite this social backdrop, Alberta wasn't content to fit the mold. Her early years were spent traveling extensively across Europe, where she was exposed to the continent's diverse cultures, histories, and philosophies. But this was more than a finishing school tour. It was an immersion that deepened her curiosity and broadened her worldviews. Her diaries, letters, and journals, all archived at Mapperton House, reveal her deep-seated desire to understand the world on her terms, beyond the societal expectations of wealth and privilege. Her writings also highlight a passion for self-discovery and cultural critique that was seen as unladylike, even rebellious in her world. Alberta was part of a unique cultural phenomenon during her time. Known as dollar princesses, young American heiresses were marrying into the financially unstable aristocracy of Europe, especially the British nobility. These alliances were more than romantic entanglements. They were business transactions that helped bolster aristocratic estates while offering American families a foothold in the world of titles, castles, and royal connections. But Alberta's path was far from that of a typical dollar princess. Many young women were compelled into marriages where their primary role was to support a noble title or to restore a crumbling estate. For Alberta, though, marriage wasn't simply a transaction. As she wrote in one of her diaries, "Decide what your life will be now and don't look back but forward. Will it be one given to love, kindness, and help, or to social position alone? She was not only questioning her role, but actively rejecting the notion that her life's purpose was to be defined by wealth or marriage alone. And isn't that refreshing for her time period? Alberta's journey was partially shaped by her early years abroad with her family. From 1884 to 1890, she lived with her family across Europe, experiencing life in diverse cultural and intellectual settings. This time abroad, coupled with the influence of close family members like her father William, her mother Betty, and her Aunt Josephine, cultivated her intellectual curiosity and self-reliance. Her father encouraged her independent thinking, while her aunt's encouragement helped Alberta develop her unique outlook on life. Growing up amidst her family's support and high expectations, Alberta developed a keen awareness of her identity as a Sturges, a family known not only for its wealth, but also for its influence and ambitions. Yet, as her writings suggest, Alberta felt a need to forge her own path and to redefine her family's legacy on her own terms. In 1895, Alberta's introspective journey took a unique turn when she encountered the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, the Hindu monk and philosopher. Vivekananda's ideas about spirituality, self-discipline, and the role of individuals in society left a profound mark on her. Known for his belief that marriage was a necessary evil, Vivekananda challenged societal norms around relationships, describing marriage as something done for the welfare of the nation rather than for personal happiness. For a young woman like Alberta, who was already questioning the traditional expectations surrounding marriage, these teachings struck a deep chord. Vivekananda's views gave Alberta a framework to envision a life that didn't fit within the confines of a typical noble marriage. His teachings ignited her desire to live for something larger than herself, to find purpose in the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of humanity. And this profound influence set her apart from her American heiress peers, as she yearned to build a life not solely defined by social obligations, but by her own principles and spiritual inclinations. As Alberta's journey of self-discovery unfolded, she couldn't ignore the social pressures pushing her toward marriage. Her relationship with George, a British nobleman, wasn't a love at first sight kind of story. Instead, it was a slow, thoughtful bond built on careful consideration and deep conversations. Alberta had her doubts. Was George someone who'd understand her drive for spiritual growth and mutual respect? She wondered if marriage would allow her to keep exploring her own path, or if it would force her into a traditional role she always questioned. In her letters to George, she shared this struggle openly. In one especially revealing line, she wrote, "I have always longed to lean on someone, but now that I might, I don't know how." Those words capture Alberta's inner tug of war between wanting companionship and valuing her independence. She was afraid that marriage might mean losing herself and compromising the values she worked so hard to uphold. By choosing to marry George, Alberta was standing up for the kind of partnership she envisioned, a marriage that would nurture her growth rather than stifle it. On the 25th of July, 1905, Alberta and George were married. And their union wasn't a mere fulfillment of societal expectation. It was a statement of mutual respect and a shared commitment to live by their values. Unlike many American heiresses who were seen as accessories to European titles, Alberta redefined what it meant to be a dollar princess. She was not absorbed into the British aristocracy as an outsider, but rather as an equal partner who brought her own ideals, independence, and intellect to the marriage. Her strength of character ensured that her life wouldn't be overshadowed by her title or her husband's status. Instead, she transformed her role, proving that an heiress could be a force for good, a symbol of self-determination, and a voice for change. Alberta's story is so compelling because it's a reminder that even those born into privilege can face deeply human struggles. At a time when many American heiresses had limited options, Alberta insisted on her right to question, to learn, and to seek answers to life's bigger questions. Her journals, letters, and diaries, which have become treasured items that are near and dear to my heart, stand as a testament to her inner life, her search for purpose, and her belief that wealth and title were secondary to a life of kindness, growth, and charity. In one of her most stirring diary entries, she reflected in 1900 on her aspirations. Decide what your life will be now and don't look back but forward. Will it be one given to love, kindness, and help, or to social position alone? I am stronger. It's by fighting one's own nature that one keeps alive. And I will try to be a strength for good, for mercy, charity. Above all, Alberta, don't waste your time. Study. Make something of yourself. You owe it to humanity. Remember that what the world needs is men and women. That one woman could revolutionize things. You will have a message to give to the world. In these words, Alberta captured the essence of her life's philosophy: to live with intention and to make a positive impact no matter her social standing. I think about this entry a lot. In her life and marriage, Alberta exemplified how an American heiress could defy the dollar princess stereotype. She proved that wealth and privilege didn't have to mean conformity or the mere upholding of social status. When she married George on her own terms and chose a life focused on intellectual and spiritual growth, Alberta demonstrated that she was more than a mere product of her time. She redefined what it meant to be a part of the aristocracy, not as a submissive figure, but as an equal partner, an independent thinker, and a woman who would not allow herself to be confined by expectations. Alberta's legacy offers a glimpse into a fascinating chapter of history, one that often overshadows the individual voices of women like her. And her story reminds us that even amidst the grandeur and opulence of the Gilded Age, there were women fighting for autonomy, challenging societal roles, and seeking purpose beyond material wealth. Alberta may have been born into the world of the American elite, but she carved her own path, leaving behind a legacy of resilience, thoughtfulness, and integrity that speaks to all of us who dare to question and to live authentically. It's no wonder that she's been so inspirational to me. Like Alberta, I came to England from the Chicago area and married into the Montague family. In discovering her writings, I like to think that we share a unique connection, and I'm still learning from her every day.